In an earlier video, I covered the state pension, specifically what happens to the state pension after you die, and if anything about it could be passed on. Since then, that video is by far and away became the most popular video on this channel. Resultingly, there was a lot of comments as well that were just asking bits and pieces that they maybe never picked up in the video. So as such, I thought it'd be good if in this video we could go through some of them comments, and I'll go ahead and try and answer some of them. And I can officially call myself a YouTuber doing a reacting to my audience's comments video, so good milestone. If you're new here, my name's Ross Kelly. I'm a level 4 diploma holder in regulated financial planning, and on this channel we cover everything finance related, pensions, retirement, saving. So if any of that sounds good, be sure to subscribe, and let's jump into these comments and see what people might be wanting to know about the state pension. So I've got a screen up here with the comments, so I'm just going to start reading them off and then we'll try and answer them best I can. So first up we have, can I leave my pension to my children as divorced? Now there's a couple questions like this, basically saying can you pass on your state pension or anything like it to people that aren't necessarily your spouse? And well, the short answer is no. The state pension and any benefits with it can only be passed on to a spouse. So nothing to do with like children or relatives like that. If it's not your spouse, it's not getting passed on to them. The next comment we've got the new state pension did not replace the old state pension because the old state pension is still in existence. What happens to my pension when I die? Nothing. I am dead. Rather punctual second half. Not sure if I can really answer anything about that. But regarding the first part of that, yes, it's true. Both this new state pension and the old state pension are in existence. The point in the video that I was making was that the new state pension is the only one that people will be claiming from now on. If you claimed your state pension prior to April 2016, you'd be on the old state pension. And as such, when it comes to passing on after you die, you have different rules than for people who are on the new and current state pension or the new state pension, which is after April 2016. Moving on to the next one, we've got, hello again, can you cover the deferred pension rules and explain the pros and cons? I have a neighbour who told me she is on PIP and she will lose it at retirement age. So she is deferring her pension as PIP and associated benefits are worth more than the state pension. Is this a good plan? Well, it's a bit of a loaded question, and I will preface it with saying that this isn't financial advice. Every situation's specific, so if you want to know what's best for your specific situation, be sure to seek out a professional and get their opinion on that. On this topic, if your benefits are means tested, which basically means your benefits are based on how much money you're earning, then technically claiming your state pension could have an impact on whether you're eligible for certain benefits. And as such, it might end up being better for some people to not take their state pension, as that would put them over the threshold to claim their benefits, and that might actually lead to a reduction in the amount of income that they're taking. Okay, next up we've got, do both parties in the marriage need to be domiciled in the UK? In other words, my wife is Filipina and is not a UK national. I may be entitled to protected payments, having done all that in the 70s. So, this question actually came up quite a bit, and frankly what I've gathered is that quite a lot of my audience have foreign wives, so I don't know what yous are up to when yous go on holiday, but fair play. So on answering that, you might be wondering what domicile is. In case you're unaware, there's two types when talking about this type of thing, like where you're living. There's residency and domicile. Residency is basically where you hang about the most, is the way you'd want to think about it, and domicile is where you actually call your home. But ultimately, neither of these actually matter for these questions, whether you're domiciled or resident in the UK or neither, as you don't need to be domiciled or resident in the UK to be able to claim your partner's benefits. You just need to yourself have contributed enough national insurance contributions to be able to get it. So to reiterate, the only qualifying thing you need to be able to inherit your partner's state pension, or well, an element of it, whether it's the protected payment amounts, is that you yourself are able to claim a state pension so that it can be then added on to it. And all that needs is your qualifying amount of national insurance contributions, which at the moment is 10 years. And as such, the multitude of guys with foreign wives in my comments, fear not, as If you have eligible benefits to pass on, as long as they've got their qualifying national insurance, it should be absolutely okay to pass that stuff on. So next up here, we've got, sure and simple, qualifying years are old state pension, 39 years, new state pension, 35 years. So off the bat, that's just incorrect. So the new state pension is 35 years, but the old state pension wasn't 39 years. It was actually a shorter amount of time. You only needed 30 years of contributions to be able to qualify. Where the confusion might come with this person's comment here might be that, as mentioned in that video, when you were in your working career in the 70s, 80s, 90s, there was the option to contract out, and doing so would basically reduce the amount of national insurance contributions you're making. So you're effectively taking longer to do it, and that might be where the confusion might come from this person. But know that the old state pension was 30 years and the new one is 35. And you need to have 10 contributions minimum to claim any state pension. So even if you've got 9 contributions out of the 35, you're going to get nothing. And then once you get to 10, you're going to get 10/35 of the state pension if you were to claim it from that point. On that note, if you found this video interesting or helpful so far, be sure to drop a like and subscribe. It really does help the channel out a lot and keeps me motivated and keeps me pushing out the content for you guys. And in a similar vein to this video, if you've got any questions relating to anything, doesn't need to be about the state pension, anything finance related, you know, retirement, saving, anything like that. It could be maybe politics, you know, I don't want to be too controversial, but if I find it interesting, I would give it a wee answer. Or even if you just want to ask anything about me, be sure to comment it down below and I'll get around to doing another one of these videos if there's enough things that I think I can put into a video. But yeah, let's get back to them now and round it off. Next up, we've got drivel. Sticks and stones, you know. Still new to this stuff, so trying to get better at it, but I thought that one was alright. I think it just been a bit mean, frankly. Moving swiftly on from that one then. We've got a bit of a longer one here. National insurance and deferment is insurance for a retirement benefit, not a pot of money to use how you like. Not to be confused with occupational pensions, despite the similar name. Defined benefit pensions each have individual terms and conditions. Defined contribution pensions are a more standard and are a pot of money with a lot of options for how to take benefits. Pretty good summary, couldn't really put it better myself. The reason I think it's good to highlight this one is I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about where your national insurance payments go, and it's pretty strong regarding the current discourse around the state of the state pension and whether it's feasible for it to continue in its current form for the foreseeable future. Your national insurance payments that you're making at the moment are going towards people who are currently taking their state pension. So unlike a standard defined contributions pension that's mentioned in the comment, where the money you pay into it goes into a pot that you can then take from when it comes to your retirement, the national insurance and your state pension, that's just funding people who are currently retired. So as such, when you get to retirement yourself, it isn't the amount of national insurance you've paid that's been taken back out and given to you again. It's actually all the people who are currently working that are paying for your state pension effectively. And this is where the whole problem comes in, the fact that with an aging population, people living longer than ever, the proportions of people retired and out of work versus in work, as well as the triple lock system making the value of the state pension going up and up and up, makes it really quite hard to, in its current form, be able to afford in the next 10, 20 years. Bit of a painful position for the government to be in, because no matter what they do, what change they make to it, someone's going to hurt. So I don't envy them, and there's not necessarily a simple fix. And I'm pretty sure there's definitely no fix where everyone's better as a result. It's a contentious topic, but it's good to bring up and good to highlight. So next up, we've got, he talks way too fast. Yeah, fair enough. I'm pretty sure there was a couple comments like that on the video actually. What can I say? Is the Scottish cadence. I'm trying to, since seeing these, trying to slow down my rate of speaking for the non-Scots and probably non-Irish as well. I'm not sure if they're able to keep up. They're quite fast speaking, but I do hope this video's at least been a bit better in that front. I have been trying, but it's a process and all that. Okie dokie, moving on, we've got, okay, that's a bit of a longer one. I won't bother reading that out. I'll just quickly look through it and then answer it accordingly, but I'll keep it up on screen so you can read through it. So this comment, it's basically speaking about the deferral process of your state pension. Now, for the most part, I didn't really check the math. I'm going to assume that it's right. But the most important part that I want to point out is that they speak about lump sums after you defer it, and that you can take your deferment as a lump sum. That was true for the previous state pension, but for the new state pension, so anyone who's claimed it after 2016 or will claim it, well, from now onwards, that's not an option. You cannot take your deferment as a lump sum anymore. You only have the accruing rate, which increases, I think it was every 9 weeks. Again, I go over the specific details in the videos covering the state pension. And we'll make this the last one. We've got, who do we contact? Now I think, again, there was a few comments like that, or asking about how do we find this out. Again, like that video, I'll leave links to the websites, as well as maybe a phone number as well for the resources that you can chase up yourself. You'll need to know some details about your partner's pension if you're trying to see if you're actually eligible since they've passed. But again, all these details are covered on the website. And with that, thanks for watching. That was quite fun. Again, if you would like any questions answered in maybe a future video similar to this, be sure to leave them down below, and also be sure to like and subscribe. It really does help the channel out. If you want to see the video that all the comments were on, that were speaking in more detail about the state pension after death and what you might be able to do with it, be sure to check it out here. And if not, until next time.